So the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold7, it has been out now for around 6 months, and you may be wondering if it's worth buying today in 2026. I have to say, I have tried this Z Fold7 for a while now, and I've been going back and forth between this and the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold, and over, for whatever reason, I seem to be drawn now to this Z Fold7. Part of it's the design, part of it is the software from Samsung. There are some things that I really love about this folding phone. And yeah, there are still some things that I love about the Pixel 10 Pro Fold. In fact, they are both great. But despite all of that and the back and forth as a techie, I seem to be going back to this Z Fold7 over and over again. And that is very new to me, because normally I don't gravitate as much to folding phones. I have seen a lot of issues with folding phones over the years. There have been a lot of things that have been keeping me away from buying folding phones and from keeping them, and a lot of those issues have been fixed with the Z Fold7. One of those issues I've really noticed with folding phones, it has been the price, and the barrier to entry to getting a folding phone has been massive. Whenever you look at like the $2,000 price tag, if you're just going to buy one whenever it first releases, that is pretty ridiculous in my opinion. I am a budget-minded user, and when the price of a phone is way too high, and then I have to sacrifice when I buy it, I am just not interested. But the price issue is one issue that has been fixed, at least for some of you if you're willing to buy from other places. So since the Z Fold7 has released, we have seen a lot of sales, and with those sales come a lot of other discounts you can get. So Best Buy often puts the Z Fold7 down to around $1,600 or $1,650, but when Best Buy discounts a phone, they also discount their open box deals, and you can normally find an open box Z Fold7 for around $1,200 or $1,300. Assuming you see the new price around $1,600, you will typically be able to find one in a open box condition for even cheaper. Now, if you go to eBay or Swappa right now, you could look for excellent condition phones and make sure that you actually buy from a reputable seller. But if you do find one, you can normally find a Z Fold7 for around $1,000, maybe $1,100. But either way, you could get a nice, good-looking Z Fold7 for a very reasonable price. And finally, Samsung, if you're wanting one brand new, they often discount the phone as well to around $600 off. And there have been even more discounts for people who are students or people who work for the military, or if you're a teacher. So they have a lot of great deals that you could get brand new or used, and no matter how you want to buy it, the barrier to entry is pretty much gone as far as price if you are someone that is at least trying to spend flagship phone money. But it's not really worth getting a phone like this if you're not going to like it or if you're going to have other issues. And one of the other big barriers to entry for me for folding phones, one reason why I seem to run away very often from folding phones is durability. Now I have to admit, the durability of a folding phone, it's not going to be quite as durable as a normal phone. You still have a screen protector that is on the inside of the phone, and the screen protector can actually get damaged fairly easily. If you are someone that has fingernails, for example, and you're poking at your screen, maybe you're going to scuff up that screen protector a little bit. So that could be a minor inconvenience, but I think most people are going to be just fine as far as keeping their phone protected. But beyond that inconvenience, you have to realize that durability, it's still less of a concern today than it was in the past for folding phones. Now this phone here is rated for 500,000 folds, and in my time using this over the past 6 months, I have not had any issues with durability. Now I have heard of some people like Mike O'Brien, for example. He is a friend I know who actually does make YouTube videos, and apparently his Z Fold7 did seem to have a little bit of a crack. But he himself admitted he was using it in the cold, in very cold conditions, folding and unfolding, so that could have played a role with his particular unit. But most people I know with the Z Fold7 have not had issues, and this phone, again, rated for 500,000 folds and unfolds. Whenever you look at that rating, That is very significant, and it should give you peace of mind considering a lot of foldables are normally rated for half that. So this durability, it appears to be improved over previous years. The price is very, very affordable, at least compared to the launch price. And the one other barrier for me that always kept me out of folding phones, and trust me, I am going to get into the compromises here. We are going to talk about the good and the bad, but folding phones have often been way too heavy for me. And the Z Fold7, they did fix that issue, and it is way lighter. Of course, people brag about the thinness and how this is one of the thinnest foldable phones you could buy. It draws me back to it time and time again, because a lot of phones like the Z Fold6 or the Z Fold5, I got tired of using them very quickly because it felt so bulky whenever I was using it closed, because of course we don't want to open up the phone every single time. So whenever you're using it like a normal phone, you just don't want your phone to feel like a brick, and you could just go buy a regular phone if you're gonna have to lug around a brick all day. Even another barrier to entry has been the cameras, because often they compromise the main camera, but this has the same main camera as the S25 Ultra, and the camera shots I'm getting from this phone are still really, really good. So there are a lot of barriers to entry that have been keeping me out of foldable phones for a long time. A lot of things that have kept me from really recommending foldable phones, but this is the year that we're seeing higher sales than ever for Samsung. We are seeing the Z Fold7 take off, and it's for a very, very good reason, because it's a great folding phone. And a lot of those barriers are slowly eroding away, where a lot of us normal people, we just want a reliable phone that's gonna last. We want a phone that we could buy at a reasonable price at a sale. We want a phone that's going to have a nice main camera. And we want a phone that's not gonna feel like a brick. And if you're one of those people, the Z Fold7 right now is really good to buy. However, we do need to talk about the compromises, the things that still exist that might keep you away from this phone, because there are still a few things that you might need to consider. For one, the zoom camera here is not going to be as good as you're going to find on the S25 Ultra. Of course, that is going to be a little bit disappointing. If they could remake the main camera for the S25 Ultra and make it to fit this phone, why couldn't they do that for the other cameras? Why couldn't they just make the camera bump a little bit different? Or don't be afraid to move the camera bump from top to bottom to side and just make it a little larger so that you could fit those components in. I don't know why they made that decision, but I will say that you're going to notice the zoom camera isn't quite as good. So those extra cameras, those might bother you not getting the best of the best and not getting that anti-reflective screen. Because we have to deal with that screen protector, I'm guessing that does affect their ability to put that anti-reflective technology in the screen here. One other compromise that I have seen is the battery life. Now the battery life is a lot better than I expected, so I did get much better battery life than I thought I would. But remember, the battery size here, it's going to be less than you would find in a flagship phone like the S25 Ultra or even the S26 Ultra that we are hearing about. So whenever you're powering a larger screen like this, whenever you're unfolding a phone, you're going to need a little bit more battery size, you're going to need more battery life than you typically would in a normal smartphone. But technically this has less battery life and a smaller battery size. This has a 4400 milliamp battery. So with the battery size being a little bit smaller, I have had good battery life. I was actually surprised at how good it's been. I have gotten around 6 to 8 hours of screen on time. I would say I average closer to 6 because sometimes I do some pretty intense stuff on my phone. But despite all of that, I've had a good experience with the battery life, but it's not improved. Now, it is improved in a way over the Z Fold6 because the Z Fold6 was huge, and now we were able to lessen the size of this phone and fit in the same battery. That is a major accomplishment. But despite that, we are not getting a better battery or a bigger battery than you would get in a traditional flagship. So that might still keep you away from a folding phone if you really need the absolutely best battery in a smartphone. And one other thing I have to mention as a compromise is no S Pen support. So there are different styluses you could technically get online that are capacitive, but you have to remember some styluses could damage the screen protector if you're not careful. And the styluses you buy on Amazon, they're not going to have that S Pen technology. You're not going to get palm rejection or anything like that. So there are some negatives, I understand, but I think the positives actually outweigh a lot of those negatives. And it really depends on who you are as far as if it's good enough for you. So a lot of the barriers to entry have been taken away. And yeah, there are still some negatives. But whenever I look at the phone as a whole, I have been enjoying it so much. The display is so nice, actually being able to open it up and being able to game on a huge display, being able to scroll around and go back and forth with content, or being able to multitask on a large display. That's a really big deal to me. But if I close it up, I get the normal experience I would get from a traditional smartphone. So I can get the best of both worlds, but I don't feel like I'm lugging around a brick while I'm doing it. I can get a normal smartphone experience, I could get a mini tablet experience, and it can fit in my pocket very easily. I could have a great main camera because the main camera is amazing, and I absolutely love taking pictures of my family with it. It has been awesome. Also, having a folding phone, another advantage is being able to prop it up on a table, because I do content creation a lot. And whenever I'm filming it or filming a lot of things I'm doing, I like to prop this up here on a table, and then I could show myself if I'm in a restaurant. It's not super annoying to people. They don't see this ginormous camera. Instead, I just have my phone propped up like this. And taking pictures of my kids, of course, they could view themselves on this outer display. So children being able to see themselves on the main display or on that cover display, that does allow them to take better pictures because they're going to be smiling more, they're going to see themselves and get excited. So that is going to make a big difference in pictures. So overall, I think I get better videos from this because I actually can prop up the phone whenever I need to. I get better pictures from it too because I can actually use it to get good pictures of my kids and make sure they're smiling. So even though there are disadvantages like the zoom camera not being as good, I also have advantages that help me get better pictures of my kids or help me with content creation. And because I have this really cool Benks case that actually protects the actual corners of it, it's not poking me in my fingers whenever I'm opening it or closing it. It's got MagSafe on it. It's a very thin case. Probably one of my favorite cases that I've really used on a folding phone. It's really awesome. Now, there are other negatives you need to know about. For example, it's a little bit harder to open up than some previous foldables, so keep that in mind. It does still have some wobble on the table, so if you put it on a table and you're trying to use it on the table, it's going to wobble because of this camera bump here. So there are some things that are imperfect, but the display on this is so good. It is so vibrant, and yeah, of course, there are some black bars whenever you're watching YouTube. There's no doubt about it. That's why a lot of folding phones are starting to get wider, but the wider a folding phone gets, that means the cover display will be super wide and maybe a little unwieldy for some people. So you have to decide if you're okay with some compromises. Remember, whenever you open this up, yeah, it's going to be a little bit worse with videos, but it will also have more information on your screen than you would traditionally find on a normal flagship phone. So you could have the video and information on the bottom. You don't just have to have those black bars. You could also prop it up while you're watching videos to give you a better experience. So once again, a lot of those negatives, you could really turn those into positives if you actually look at the other features of the phone. So the gaming experience, it is great, of course, with that Snapdragon Elite processor. The power on this phone, of course, you're going to get the same type of power as a traditional flagship phone. You're going to get it in a very thin device. You're going to get a device with a gorgeous screen, okay battery life, but a very good main camera. But the flexibility you get going from one screen to two, it is so awesome. Now, a lot of people are wondering, should you get this or a Trifold? And I have to say the Trifold, in my opinion, is really, really impractical. So I just have to say, everyone is different and everyone will have a different opinion on this. But I don't want to spend $3,000 on a phone that is rated to last less time. I know the Trifold is not rated for 500,000 folds, so it is a little bit less durable. And it's new technology, which does make me a little bit leery of it. Also, you have to remember that the Trifold it's going to be way heavier whenever you're using it as a normal phone. So it puts that barrier back up because you don't want to unfold your phone every time you use it. A lot of times we grab our phones, we just try to do some really quick stuff and we put it away. We don't want to have to every single time unfold, unfold, unfold. It's just a lot of work and hassle for people. But you don't have to do that on this phone, but on the Trifold, because it's so heavy and bulky, it's going to be annoying to use on that cover display. And then a lot of people are going to want to open it up. You could buy something like a Galaxy Tab S11 Ultra, and you could probably find one around $700 or $800 on the used market. But even if you find it brand new, even if you pay $1,000, you could get an awesome tablet that's a lot larger, that's better for productivity, and you could also have a mini tablet in your hands, and you could get the best of both worlds. That seems to be a much better option in my opinion. I think you're going to get devices that are more durable, they're going to last longer, they're going to have better resale value. So yeah, having a giant tablet that's over 10 inches in the palm of your hand, it is super impressive. It's just not super practical, at least to me, at this moment in time. And it's just a lot harder to carry around and wield it day to day whenever you're walking around in public. So overall, I just have to say the Z Fold7 for me, with its gorgeous display, with a lot of power, but with that versatility, it has won me over. And again, there is better dust resistance on something like the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, and I love the simplicity of Google software. I seem to get drawn to that quite a bit. And I go back and forth, honestly, between which folding phone I like the most. But this is the year that I've been drawn more than ever to folding phones, and I have to say there's a reason, once again, that the Z Fold7 started selling so well. There's a reason why Samsung really turned the corner, and they are expecting the next Z Fold to actually outsell all of those other flip phones, because even though it's more expensive, it is so darn good, and a lot of people have been enjoying it. So I think the best time to buy one is not to wait for the next folding phones, though there will be massive improvements. If you are a big tech nerd, you probably want to wait. But if you're a deal hunter, a bargain hunter, and I talk to a lot of those people on my channel, I think buying the Z Fold7 is a very good option if you're finding it for a good price. But just find it for a good price, because again, you could normally find it new for under $1,600. And I should also add that I actually found one open box at Best Buy as I was preparing this video for about $800, and that is absolutely insane. I would not expect that deal to come up very often. Chances are, if you're looking for a really good deal, $900, $1,000, even $1,100 or $1,200, those are going to be good deals if you find those at Best Buy in open box, excellent condition. But I got pretty lucky at $800, and the point is, there are a lot of deals out there, whether it's on Best Buy or eBay. And that's why I think it's worth buying. I know I actually switched out a Z Flip to get another one. I've had a few different models over the past few months, and I just keep going back to it month after month because I have just really enjoyed this phone, and it's pretty darn good. Now, if you did like this video, I have to say January is a really tough month for tech creators. So please give me a like and give me a sub. It would be awesome if you would do that. But also, if you use the links in YouTube or in the description, maybe the little link that's on the YouTube banner as you're watching the video, you could use that to actually purchase the phone, or go in the description and check those links there. Even if they're a little bit long, that is a great way to support my channel. Finally, if you really love content about Android, I cover Android all the time on my channel. I love Android content, and you could check out some other videos if you do get time. And no matter what you're going through in life, I really, really hope you have an amazing week.